Hey everyone, it's Heather, and today you're coming with me on a hike and an adventure. We are heading to Blue Springs State Park today, which is in Volusia County, Florida, not too far outside of the Orlando area. And as you can see by the large line of cars that we are slowly approaching, we are not the only ones that are planning on visiting today. Now, most of the year, it is a beautiful little park where you can come to enjoy hiking, nature, swimming and tubing and even diving into the head spring. However, from sometime around November to sometime in March, they do close down the springs in the park to people so that the manatees can congregate that are normally dispersed in the St. Johns River area. And then they all come into the spring area and use this particular section of water as a sanctuary during the colder months. So they do want it free of people so that nothing harasses or bothers the manatees and that they're free to enjoy the warmer waters until it's kind of time to go back out and do their manatee thing the rest of the year. Now here we're just pulling into our site after checking in, and if you saw my last couple of videos on how I set up at a campsite and how I stay warm during cold temps here in Florida, then you did see all of that already, and I recommend you go check it out after this if you haven't yet. For now, we're going to head over to the bathroom and kind of scope out the campground a little bit before we finish setting up camp and start enjoying the park. As always, I'm completely surprised and blown away by how the Florida State Park system manages to keep their bathrooms and grounds in general so immaculate, but I definitely appreciate and enjoy it. Here's the family restroom, and all of the restrooms there actually had those room warmers that you can see here, which was really nice during the cold temps, and I was not expecting that. They do have the normal men's and women's restrooms with showers, and then a family one as well. And now we're just heading back to the site to finish getting all set up. I did get a chance to experiment with my new outdoor living setup this time, which I'm getting ready to set up here in a little bit. And you can, again, hop over to that other video on how I set up for camp if you want to see what that looks like. But here I just decided to heat up some dinner. Since the park never did slow back down again for the day, I got to try out my new low wattage electric heater, and I called it an early night. And as you can see, when I woke up in the morning, it was very cold, so I decided to drive over to the park. But first, I did stop back into the bathroom to take advantage of that room warmer again and change into my clothes for the day instead of trying to get dressed in my cold minivan. And again, bathroom's very clean. Just really a nice campground to stay in. I was very impressed. So after getting dressed and getting ready for the day, we headed back to the minivan to unhook from the electric for the day and drive over to the trailhead, which is in the overflow or the second parking area, not the main parking area for the spring. I decided I'd try out the nature path the next morning when it wasn't quite as frigid. All right, well, the ice has finally thawed off of my windshield. I am bypassing the main spring parking area here to head to the back parking lot where the trailhead is, because after I see the manatees this morning, I think I'm going to take a morning hike, depending on how warm I am by then. It is a chilly 27 degrees outside right now. Crazy for Florida. That's where the cabins are if you rent those. And in just a couple hours, this entire parking lot and the main parking lot are going to be completely packed. When I checked in yesterday, the parking lot was at capacity and the park was still closed. So the only way I got in was because of my reservation. All right, let's go take a look at these manatees. We are looking at frost on the ground right now. Wow, yesterday was the record for manatees so far. 747 yesterday alone. That's the Thursby house, which is the historic house on the grounds. We'll take a look at that later. We're heading towards the head spring at the moment. That sound you hear are my snow pants rustling. guys an idea of how busy it gets this time of year. It's only 8:30 right now, and this is the overflow parking lot after the park's been open for 30 minutes. All right, we've dropped off our snow pants and we are ready to hike the Pine Island Trail. Now this is not a loop, it's an out and back. So we'll see how much I actually do today. Some of the critters you might see. All right, we're done with our morning hikes. It's about 11:30. It is still like 30 something degrees outside, but all of the ice has melted off my car finally. And now that it's packed in the park again, I think I'm gonna head back to camp, have some lunch, relax, and maybe head back later in the afternoon once the crowds start to die down again, and then I'll show you the Thursby house. I've got to tell you guys, it was so cool to be able to spend almost an hour this morning at the springs almost completely by myself with just me and hundreds of manatees. I only passed a couple other people the whole time I was out there until about 8:15, and then the crowds definitely started picking up. I can't believe how fast the park gets so crowded, but it's a completely different experience if you can ever... I mean, it's amazing no matter what to see that many manatees at once in the wild, but if you can ever swing it to where you can be camping here and be in the spring before the park actually opens, it's just amazing to have that kind of experience almost completely to yourself. And as you can see, these are all people that had to park way far away and walk up to the spring because of how busy the park is now. Like I said, it's cool no matter what, but for me personally, I just don't find it as enjoyable when I have to share nature with hundreds and hundreds of people crowded in together all at once. So if I can swing it so that I can have the same experiences and see the same things but not have to deal with the crowds, then sign me up. I am gonna pass the turn to get back to camp and then head back up to the ranger station so that I can check out for yesterday and check back in today, because apparently that's how they handle it here. And then I'm gonna ask where that little nature trail by the dumpster inside camp leads to. All right, we're here at the ranger station and I'm gonna turn in my tag and get my one for tonight. My plan had been to relax during the middle part of the day and then head out again once the park had died down a bit and wasn't as crowded, so that I could show you guys the Thursby house and walk the boardwalks a bit more. However, that never happened. It stayed crowded until closing, so I just ended up taking advantage of my new outdoor living setup, caught up on some reading, watched a little Netflix, and called it an early night so that I could head out again in the morning before having to check out. Now that it was another cold, beautiful morning, I was ready to try out the little nature path from the campground over to the main spring area instead of driving this morning. As you can see, the parking lot looks way different than it did when we were leaving it just the other morning. It's such a surreal experience being in this park that's normally packed with people in this situation this time of year, to literally being the only one around. And just look how magical with the hundreds of manatees, just hearing the breath and the steam off the water. Just honestly such a beautiful and magical sight and experience to go through. And I just really felt honored and blessed to be here this particular morning and the whole weekend. Again, just looking at this viewing platform that's normally crowded with people and not seeing anybody else. And who doesn't love a misty, magical morning like this anyways? But when you add in literally hundreds and hundreds of manatees to the mix. Here you can see one of the nursemaid manatees that kind of fills in as a babysitter for the youngsters. Just look at all the little babies following. Seeing all their scars, though, it is a harsh reminder that they are definitely an imperiled species and how important it is for us to do everything we can to respect and preserve these amazing animals. If you ever have an opportunity to experience this magical experience for yourself, I highly recommend it. And Blue Spring State Park is definitely a great spot to go in the winter for that purpose. And now we're gonna head back from the head spring there on the magical boardwalk again, all by ourselves still. The park hasn't opened yet. And as you can see, we've made our way back over to the Thursby house where we were yesterday. The park's back open, and you can see there's some people filtering in. It's really a fascinating history to read about, and this park is great with signage, so there's lots of placards and different things that you can read that will fill you in on the history. And it really is such a pretty historic home. Unfortunately, I didn't do my research and didn't realize that the Thursby home is closed on Mondays. So since I waited until there weren't as many people or crowds around, I kind of missed the boat and missed the chance to show you the inside of the home. So I just kind of did a quick little exterior tour of the grounds to give you an idea of what it's like, and I definitely will go back a different time of year anyways to give you a different perspective of the park when the spring's open to people. So on that particular opportunity, I'll make sure that I show you the interior of the Thursby home too, because it is worth it and it's really interesting, especially if you're into history. Now we're gonna head back towards camp because unfortunately it's that time to pack up and check out. So I just got back from my morning hike and look at what the temperature still is inside my van. 38, and it's about 9:30 I think. Crazy. Yes, this is Florida. Well, as always, it is a bittersweet moment. Time to get back to real life, like work and stuff like that. Just gonna drop my ticket off and then we are leaving Blue Spring State Park. But what a visit. Holy moly, I can't believe there's still such a big line to get into the park on a Monday morning. Wowzers. You can't see, but going the other way, there's a line of cars all the way down to the dead end on the other side and back. And then these cars are all waiting. So I'm gonna guess that the park is closed due to capacity again. So just a tip, guys, if you are coming here during the winter to see the manatees, you are gonna wanna get here early. Plan on being here before the park opens at 8 if you wanna be guaranteed to get in. Look at this, it just keeps going and going. And again, it stretches about a mile or two in the other direction from the park as well. Just nuts. And that's a wrap, folks. As always, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate you spending time with me, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye.